Welcome to Exit Stage Left. I am your host, Niti, and we are broadcasting live from the Food Church here in North Carolina. We are people at peace, and we have declared peace to all nations around the world. This is not a marketing or a promotional channel, and we are shining a light on knowledge that is being hidden from you, and we are sharing the truth about your birthright and your inheritance. If you have any questions, please put them in all caps and only enter them once per show. Today, I'm joined by Debra-Ann, facilitator of the Ombudsman Way, and Tammy Healy, the host of the American State Assemblies podcast and co-leader of the Outreach Think Tank. I can't talk, y'all. Sorry. Welcome, ladies. Welcome. Man.
Thanks for having us again.
Sorry. This is today. Okay, yesterday, y'all. Yesterday was D-Day. It was really momentous. I'm going to go down a list if anybody is not aware of this. So you are hearing it here first if you didn't hear it last night from Anna. Anna emphasized marking today, November 17th, 2025, as a truly momentous, significant day for America and the rest of the world. She says, Anna announced that America is back in the hands of its nationals after 160 years. She outlined, I know, like, what? The Americans are back. Okay. She said that she outlined expected changes, including debt relief, simplification of laws, plans for community meet and greets, which will educate Americans about their rights and history. She revealed the deployment of 8 million med beds for health recovery starting tomorrow for critically ill people as a priority. She confirmed the production of silver coinage as asset-backed currency for domestic use. The veterans will receive priority access to medical technologies developed for battlefield injuries and chronic illnesses. She very much wants all the veterans to know that we will be pouring all our love over them, all our care, all our attention.
Yeah, as they deserve.
As they deserve. Individuals will begin to gain access to prepaid credit accounts to eliminate various debts, including mortgages and medical bills. This may not look like a clean sweep of the mortgage, but, it might be that you receive a special card that you use just to pay mortgages monthly. It might not look exactly like what you imagine, but it is that you are not coming up with that money and struggling to find it to pay for that. She outlined new identification system utilizing thumbprints for passports and various credential cards. The GFG are getting set up to provide treasury services, including being the paymaster for the military. That is a big one.
Woo-hoo!
It's a big one, and
yep.
it's what we need, right? Especially for our Army, which is our land jurisdiction, and they are the ones. There's going to be. Well, let me continue. She said it's time to ramp up the workload through our assemblies. The corporations will now be held accountable for the crimes that have been committed. The new lawful system will be put into place. The national debt is to be wiped out without delay. Mortgages will be dealt with differently due to their complexity, being used fraudulently as investment securities. The most at risk of losing their properties due to mortgage debt will be cleared as priority. The rest of the mortgages will be initially paid monthly through a type of charge card like I described, but it won't come out of your pocket. Mortgages will be cleared entirely in due course. There's no more need to fear the mortgages or property taxes. The commercial banks will be stripped down and set up the way they always should have been. Those who were the first who were hearing this on the webinar, you're the first. They were the first ones to know this life-changing news, and now you're hearing it here next. All the de facto corporations will be fully nullified and briefed within the next few weeks. She said this is going to be known as Homecoming Day, the 17th of November. I knew she put a name on it, and I was trying to remember. Homecoming.
Well, we got to remember that because we'll have some big homecoming parties.
That's right. The 17th is going to be Homecoming Day. GFG vendor trading using your AFD master account assets is opening up imminently, followed by the public trading of your AFD and use of your prepaid credit. And as a side effect of those announcements, overnight, you saw, Terra Australis stepping up, really calling their people into action, saying that now that Judge Anna and the American State Nationals are officially in charge of America, it would be wise to remind everyone that they officially recognize Terra Australis States Assembly as a de jure government of Terra Australis only a month or so ago. They just started assembling. And, as well as but everybody's been notified, the Pope, Russia, the Pentagon. That's the other thing Anna wants everyone to know is, Russia was really watching our back and protecting us while we were asleep at the wheel. And it goes, completely against all the lies that Americans have been fed as we were being impersonated. And so these are things that we need to know. It's really, really important. And so with all of this, ladies, we have major chaos happening as a side effect. We already kind of did, but just for an example, I don't know how many people here know Mike Adams or follow the Health Ranger, but he's generally someone who is a little bit more with it, in terms of being on the bleeding edge. But even he is like saying things like, Trump's covert, Zionist loyalty and dollar collapse, the hidden war behind America's financial demise. And he's falling for a lot of the nonsense, I remember when he was just the Health Ranger a long time ago, and he was a lot easier to get in touch with. I actually spoke to him in 2009, but now, of course, it's really difficult to try to get up with him to, bring a lot of these things to his attention. And a lot of the people, because I was part of the food thing, and so coming up in my food people who are on the leading edge, these are people that are connected with, folks like, Catherine Austin Fitz was promoting my book. We all know each other, right? This is, Sally Fallon of the West May Price Org. These are all folks that I think everybody really knows, right? And they're the ones who are actually, they're sharing the most amount of truth as far as the orthodoxy is concerned, right? But they still, they were pushing PMAs up until last year, and now they're doing something called UNAs, which is asset protection with unincorporated nonprofit associations. They're saying they're unincorporated. I don't know how they're having them structured. Listen, in order to decentralize, we have to unincorporate everything. And even last night on our assembly, the conversation is a little confusing because as we send these notices out, then, the International Business Assembly is who actually communicates this outside of the assembly to, give the marching orders to the de facto, our employees. And there's a lot of confusion. A lot of people don't realize that that's how that communication goes because they felt like it comes through the General Assembly pillar because the jury, because our courts, are creating the orders. But
you said the International Business Assembly.
Right, is the actual communication channel. Mm-hmm. So it actually, the comms go out through IBA. And
that's because we have state citizens in that position.
Right. Yeah. And only the state citizens can communicate internationally. And that, it's just, but that's the way all the cogs work together. Right. Mm-hmm. But look, Anna is saying we need to simplify. And she's been saying this for a long time. And she's been like kind of planting seeds for folks to think differently, because we have never um, known how to operate outside of these complex corporate ideals with the flow charting and the agendas. And I mean, people aren't accustomed to these round tables, the family style government that we are owed. And it's very difficult for anyone to come from there to here and still feel like they're organized and managing it, and doing things like what we consider professionally and, responsibly. But people, um, you know, our families, well, I guess the corporation did a good job of basically creating, so much dysfunction in the families that they destroyed the idea of the way that the family should operate in love and wholeness and nurturing. I mean, all the way from the beginning, right? Because they want you to make a baby cry itself to sleep. They don't, people don't realize that that whole practice is destroying the relationship, the bond between mom and dad and baby. And because we have to get to work. We got to go to the job. We got to go do the thing to make the money for the corporation. So there you go. I mean, I think I just unwrapped a lot of chaos for us to, Debra-Ann or whoever, whichever one of you ladies, where are we going?
You covered a lot there. I'm glad you came up for air.
I yield.
I would say that, yes, we're going to see a lot of chaos. And I think for me, the way that I see us surviving and thriving through all of this is getting back to our communities and our families and spending more time with them rather than in front of a screen and watching the news. I think a lot of people are addicted to getting their news from a screen, because like you said, Niti, going back to when the boob tubes first came out, families sat around the kitchen table and put the TV on together and watched it together. So to them, that's considered their family time, right? So there was all this indoctrination taking away from the true connections with our family members. And so I would say to just get back to that, get back to spending more time with your family, having a deeper conversations with your families, and with your communities. I think that that's probably one of the reasons why there was, an interest in wanting to get a local government standing, besides our state assemblies, getting our local government standing, because that's really where the action is. And so, I think we could start by, gathering with our neighbors, and starting to open up dialogue with them. I would love to, I'm all for, the education piece. That's really my wheelhouse, is outreach and education. And so I love to be able to meet face to face with people. That's really where I like to be, is face to face, and feeling people's energies and being able to answer questions in the moment and look at people's facial expressions instead of a screen. When people come on to Zoom presentations, a lot of times, they'll shut their screen off, and you're looking at a black screen with maybe just their name. So it's really, it makes it a world of a difference when you're there together face to face. And being able to do that is something I look forward to. And I think that that would help in dealing with this chaos that we're going to see. And I think, and Debra-Ann, maybe you'll chime in here with me, is finding that calm. I get that from you, is that you really emulate what being calm in the storm is really like. You've got this calming presence about you. And I think that that's so important, especially when people around us are, kind of frazzled, scared, and unsure of the future. And with that comes a lot of, weird behaviors. So being that calm, I think, in the storm and reassuring people with your confidence and your knowledge, like what we're here to do, I think is going to make a world of a difference when we see that happening and experiencing that.
Yeah, I love what you brought forward, Tammy. I'm going to take it a little bit closer to home because I think our society was, what do you call it? It was programmed. It was socially programmed to pull the family apart and then pull communities apart. And so during this time of chaos, if you could just go back to the simple things, making dinner and sitting around the table together,
Yeah.
having a conversation, what are the kids' friends doing? What are, how is your job? Or, did you hear something that's going on that you've got questions about? Things that you used to talk about at the table with your family.
Yeah.
That has, in my observation, has gone by the wayside. And that's a real central place we can get back to. And it's a calming place to be, to think that in the next 3 hours, I'm going to be cooking. I'm going to be spending time with my family. We're not going to be looking at the screen. And sometimes it's really hard to get young people off their phones.
We got a rule in my family that you are not allowed to bring your phone to the kitchen table.
Yeah.
We have that rule. We have no phone zones.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the phones aren't allowed to go upstairs. They don't go to the rooms where you can't take a phone up to the bedroom. Like there's no technology near the bedrooms.
Yeah, near the bedroom. Those are great rules, especially when you have the ones that are not young adults already. My young adults will engage. And the way I've discovered to engage them is to play games again, to pull out those games we played and just to have fun with one another and laughing. And then that can extend to your community. It starts at home, the very place they tried to pull apart.
Yeah. And what I find myself doing now, because I have young adults too. I have a 21 and a 20-year-old. And what I find, as they've gotten older, my second son was, such a mama's boy. Like he would always hold my hand when he was younger, always looking to be with me. And I really loved that. And as he got older, it's like a complete opposite, mom, get away from me, like, mom, really, but I find that I still, when he leaves for work or, something to that effect, I'll always, go give him a hug and say, hey, have a great day at work. And I feel like that exchange of energy, just like giving the hug and still doing that and kind of insisting. I've told my kids, look, I'm always going to be your mom. I'm always going to want hugs and I'm always going to want kisses. So sorry, you're just going to have to deal with that. But I think that, even that slightest of affection towards one another is important too.
I think you guys are saying that nature, if we really, want to operate the way that we have always been, been needed to operate, then you want to observe nature and you want to flow with it. So, ease and flow.
Mm-hmm.
It's ease and flow. And if you really lean on nature, it is so powerfully supportive. And it always has your back. It's very consistent. That's I've been practicing that. I keep saying that, but like natural law is a thing that everyone, if you're not really exercising and practicing that, you're really missing out. And that requires the truth. I mean, I got a big sign out here at the food church, and it says nothing but the truth. It's the biggest sign. I put it up before we did anything out there. When we came into this blank warehouse, then the first thing I put up was this big sign. It says nothing but the truth. because as long as you walk on the truth, it's solid.
Yeah.
And it's
You know,
easy, but it takes a lot of courage. I yield to you, Deborah, but it takes a lot of courage to do that. And that's why Anna says, stop lying, you know, and if you're not courageous, I don't even want to know you, she says, because it takes a lot of courage to do that.
And the Bible tells us time and time again, you know, for those who are, you know, Bible readers and, you know, follow the word, it tells us all the time, you know, to fear not. And there's many passages talking about courage.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about what you said, Niti, about the natural law, I wouldn't have known what that meant uh, 3 years ago, because I didn't bring it home. Until I started looking at Ayurveda and discovering, you know, you eat when you're hungry. If you're not hungry at meal times, don't eat. That's the natural law. Your digestion is ready for food when you're hungry. It's not ready for food when you're not hungry. And if you eat food when you're not hungry, you know, some people just snack whenever. If you're not hungry when you eat, that becomes a toxin in your body. And the first thing you're responsible for is this, you know, this thing that houses our electromagnetic field in our consciousness, right? And but I wouldn't have known what natural law was until then. And for me, when you mentioned about the crying babies, I slept with mine because they would sleep through the night.
Right.
And I'm not going to tell anybody else to do what I chose to do, because everybody makes their own choices. But for our family, you know, my children were adopted. They felt abandoned already. They needed comfort. They needed to be with me. So that was listening to nature, you know, nurturing the little one. But we have our bodies to nurture too. So you mentioned you mentioned some emotion. I don't remember at the moment what it was, but I was thinking, if you're listening to your body and you're listening to the signals it sends, I discovered long time ago that I can't eat potato chips, because if I eat potato chips, I get angry.
That's right.
I get angry.
It's true. Carbs do that, you know.
Yeah.
And the oils, probably the oils too.
Probably
It is the
oils.
oils. Did you know that if you fry potatoes in lard, you won't get that angry?
Right.
You won't. I mean, but you can't do it in avocado oil. You can't do it in coconut oil. It has to be a animal fat. If you do it in tallow, if you do it in lard, you will not have that side effect.
True.
Yeah. You know, what's really interesting is that there's a lot of unlearning in my household that we're going through here, because, you know, like you ladies know, we've been lied to about so much, from salt to fats to, you know, all these other things, right? And I'm trying to switch my family into eating more fat and less carbohydrates. And sometimes when they see, like, I'll say, like, if we're cooking bacon and there's lard left over and it's grease in the pan, I'm like, oh, let's save that. We'll cook something in it later. And they're like, ew. And my husband's like, do you know, you see how that hardens? That's what it does to your arteries. And I'm like, nope, that's not what it does.
You know,
actually,
I'm sorry. You know, a plug for ghee. One of the doctors that does his little thing on some of the videos talked about something in butter, but it's actually in ghee also. And it's good for your intestines. So one of the things I learned was every morning I have a teaspoon in warm water or hot water of ghee. And that's the first thing that goes down. It lubricates the inside. Okay, so I'm in the other side of life, you know, towards the end. And even though the end may be a long time, I'm expecting it to be a long time.
way
Way long time.
Way down the road.
Yeah. But we get older, we get dry. Even if you have intestinal issues, a teaspoon of ghee in the morning in warm water, something simple like that. Our bodies, our brains need the fat. So do our intestines. Anyway,
Well, you have to, the problem most folks is they're all inflamed. So the intestines are opened up like this because they're inflamed. And so they're having all these violations, which is why we have all the food allergies. But if they sealed them, then it would be different and they wouldn't be violating their sacred bloodstream. But the problem is that you need fat.
You're talking about that leaky gut, right?
Yeah, the leaky gut. So the only way to seal it is fat. The first thing, the other thing that no one knows is that coffee and tea are, they actually disrupt your ability, your signals to be able to know when you are hungry, because they are appetite suppressants. So before you have a tea or a coffee, you really need to put fat in the body. And then, so you should eat first and have the coffee later. What people normally do is have a coffee and then they eat. And that's not the way it should go. And as far as pH goes, the pH of our body, because there's a book called The Body Electric. Our body is electrical. So the pH from an electrical standpoint is in voltage. It's not about the acid and the base. It's different. So when everybody's talking about being acidic or basic or whatever, it's wrong. That you're supposed to look at our pH from a voltage level, because we're electric. And when you start looking at it from voltage and not the other, then it's very, very different. So that's the other reason why fat conducts electricity a whole lot better, and sugar corrodes electricity. And when you're going from being a sugar burner to a fat burner, there is a little bit of a quantum leap. But once you make that leap, then, the things that you're saying about ghee, well, lard and tallow are easier to harvest. And you would have had that before that. And butter is food as well. And if you could just eat butter and do better than, the million other things that you could do. But I want to get us back to the chaos, because
I want to get back to chaos too, but I just want to put in here, this is how we handle chaos, taking care of our bodies, so that we can emotionally be stable enough to stand the bombardment. So back to chaos. Go for it.
Okay. So just on the tail end of what she said, which is also very true, most of our anxiety comes from the sugar, comes from the malnourishment. Did you know that a side effect of malnourishment is anxiety? And to resolve anxiety, you have to be satiated. And you can't get satiated from potato chips that are made in vegetable oil and whatever. So if you go onto a cowboy diet where you're just having meat and potatoes and it's mostly meat, and you only have the potatoes with real butter or ghee or sour cream or, fat from an animal, it's very, very different. So that is 100% absolutely true. Get our minds right, get ourselves nourished. All of the mental illness, 100% is a malnourishment.
My favorite meal is a good steak and potatoes. I always say I'm a meat and potato gal, and I don't mean to, offend the vegetarians out there, but
But be offended. I'm Indian and I'm offending you, because I already know that India is the number one nation of all vegetarianism, and they are all sick as hell, all of them. And none of them are healing as a
the other thing that I found interesting when you were talking about the energy and being energy beings. And, back in my days when I was working as a personal trainer and health coach, I always found it interesting that and this was universal, that all of the skinny clients that I had, they always ran cold. Their hands were cold, their feet were cold. And then the overweight people were always hot. And so
I've seen some of them that are cold too, but it depends on how they go.
But usually I would say, in my experience in dealing with, seeing people one-on-one and dealing with them, and I always say that, it's that, maybe because your body was meant to be up north and have that extra insulation. I don't know, but
No, you have to have some fat for you to regulate your hormonal system. You can't
right. And brain
regulate your
function.
hormonal system that way, and especially women. Okay, sorry, but our little bump is not a baby bump. It's not a whatever. It is protecting our most vital organs, which is our reproductive organs, and it is a sign of being fertile. Okay, and that is what you want, because when you are no longer fertile or whatever, nature starts to say no. And I'm not saying that, after menopause or anything like that. I mean, what I mean is that if you were unable ever, which most people are, most people are not fertile because the poisoning. It's because of the great poisoning. Okay.
Well,
So
and
this is not your fault.
Right.
Yeah. And two, coming from my background is that most people, women, I'm talking about women, if there is, extra section in the midsection, it's usually because their lower abdominal muscles are not being worked. And so,
That's a combination of all of these things. It's true.
Yeah.
It's never one thing. It's a lot of these things. I mean, we can bring light hygiene into this. We can take this all the way left and go like 100 different ways. Again, it's like a different kind of centralized wheel that they have completely disrupted the ecosystem of nature's power. And we have to get back to the truth.
Yeah.
And that, that's nature.
Yeah. And if you think about it too, you guys mentioned anxiety and, I'm going to coin in hyperactivity, because when we're talking about, chaos and different things of that nature, especially with our children, is that these are contributing factors to why our kids are kind of, they're being diagnosed with ADD or anxiety and all these other things. If you think about it, they're being shoved in a seat all day. And then on top of it, the food that they're bringing to school is all these carbohydrate snacks.
And the white light and the concrete box. I mean, it's completely unnatural. And they have no windows, no outside. I mean, it is a prison.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a prison. But okay.
But getting
now
back
that we've identified all of those things, I mean, so our inheritance is coming.
And one of the things that I want to also mention is that to help people when they're dealing in the chaos, right, is to wake up every morning and have 3 things to be grateful for. And for me, I'm grateful for all those things that Anna just told us last night from the webinar, that these are things to look forward to. So I like to keep my eye on that prize, and that keeps me going. That keeps me motivated. That keeps me, when times get tough, and I'm sure you ladies feel this too, and a lot of the viewers, our state assembly members, times get tough because there's a little bit of us that's doing the majority of the work, and it feels like a huge burden sometimes, but there's that feeling of I know it's on the opposite side of this obstacle, like all these challenges and all this work. I can see in my mind's eye what is coming, and what we're going to, be living in, what kind of a world we're going to be living in. And so I think that's what keeps me motivated anyway.
Yeah. Well, the truth is that just like when we care for our elderly parents, who's going to do it? Who's going to do this? It's the same thing, right? People asked Anna last night, like, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay positive with all of the things that you've been through over the last 50 years? Well, it's the truth. If you know the truth, and that, first of all, once you know the occulted truth, once you have the actual knowledge of the truth, then you can't do anything else, because nature won't allow it. It is a universal law. you can't do anything else, because once
You
you have
can't go back.
experienced, listen, once you've experienced the expansion, then you can't contract. There is no going back. Our feet face forward. So once you have the expansion, once you know the truth, once you have that information, you can't operate in lies.
Right.
You can't, because if you do, you will literally destroy yourself emotionally, mentally, physically by trying. That's the reason why we don't have any friends. All these people around us who are literally the zombies who don't know what's going on. We can't relate to them. We can't associate with them. And we want to hang out with them, but we can't even do that for very long before we're just like, oh my God, this woman is driving me crazy because she literally believes, whatever it is. And also, you can't be mad at them for not knowing.
Right.
And
right. It's very frustrating on your part.
Yeah, it's just, you can't.
And you also, because you want to connect, right?
Look,
you want to connect, and you want to have them be a part of this new earth that we're moving into. You want them to be a part of that. And it's very hard to shift their mindset. And it's just, a matter of dropping the breadcrumbs and hoping that something will click, something will grab for them. And but yeah, I feel you, Niti.
Well,
it's hard.
They have to choose it, right? Listen, y'all. Yeah. Our gift from our Creator is our free will choice, and anything that anyone who tries to come in the way of that can't do it, because it's hermetically sealed in the law of the universe. And so that is the part that's difficult for us, because we are so loving and we have a hard time watching people bang their head on the floor when we know that there is something better. Debra-Ann?
So, yeah, I'm glad you guys brought this up, because I had to go through this cycle to get to where I am today with my husband, who he does not want to know. He is don't give me the truth. Don't, because it's just your truth and I'm not going to believe you. So we would go, doing this a lot. And the place I came to eventually was this phrase that I learned from my ancient secrets, which is Atiti Debobava. Just treat the unexpected guest as if God himself has come. It took me a while, but I remember one day while he was sitting at the computer and I was looking his direction and thinking, I really love him, even though we cannot see eye to eye. And it was the thought came, he's the unexpected guest. I have to, if that's God choosing to be ignorant, choosing to not want to know, choosing to walk in that path, well, God's choosing that for some reason. The reason is I don't know, but all I can do is love him in that place, right? And so
he's polishing you, right? Like he's there to polish you.
Absolutely. and I have neighbors that are here polishing me too. So it's but it was the thinking of them as God having an experience that's different than my experience has made it easier for me to let people be who they are and just be there when they're ready to hear. Because what I think is going to happen is people are going to start seeing things and get frightened because they haven't listened to anything we've said. And as long as we keep loving them right where they're at, they're going to feel safe enough to come to us and say, what the hell's going on? And then we'll be able to tell them.
Right.
So on that note, I think that's a great transition for us to start talking about what it is that the assemblies can do that's simple, that's ease and flow, and what we're doing on North Carolina, I'll just use as an example if you're interested in knowing that.
Yeah.
We decided, okay, so Anna has said this a million times, right? Our sheriffs are the highest authority on the land and soil. And we need to just get to be friends with them. And so our notices have gone out. Our our focus is to just get with the sheriffs, right? And so once we get with them, we're not trying to war with them. We're not trying to have a battle with them. We want to be friends with them. We want to show them that their new job, okay, because it's new rules now, new rules, right? So with the new rules, because Anna says this is happening fast, okay, which means also that she's got the military on her side. And the job of the Army is to support the sheriffs on the ground, okay? They have to give them their back. They got to cover their six. Okay, that's what's up. So what do we want from the sheriffs? We want them to know their new job. Their new job is to go out there and pour love over the people. And how do you do that? Well, you know, what we want to do is pull them in. We want to have a conference with them. We want to say, listen, guys, you know, this is who we are. We're your employers. We love and appreciate you. We know that you chose to do this because you wanted to do something great for your community. Okay. We know that's where your heart is, but you didn't know that it's going to be this good. It's going to be really good. Let me tell you how good it's going to be. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good that you could come home and declare. That way you have your financial, relief. Right. And then you can go out there and your job now is to pour love over everyone so that they can peacefully also learn about what is happening in this change. It's your job now to protect them from their own fear of the unknown. And that is literally all your job is now. And you are going to do such a good job of it because you cared so much already before all of this. And so now you'll only care more because you have relief. You have a gift to go give them. You have a gift to share with them. And now you can pour this over them. And then, it should, they have the bigger, bestest, fastest, strongest reach over everyone. They're watching the guys that are being the troublemakers. And now we're going to say to them, now your job is not to go and try to lock them up and give them a ticket. Your job is to go to them and say, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You don't have to come this way. Come this way. Come this way. Okay. We know you don't want it. What do you need? What you need? You need relief. You need relief. What are you doing? You just need relief. Here's the relief. Oh, you can't do that in peace? You don't want the relief and peace? Okay, now I'm going to lock you up while you think about it. You know what I mean? But that's a different way than what they're used to. What do you ladies think of that?
Yeah, I think that's going to be, I think that's a great approach. I think it's going to be very different, I think, for them to shift that mindset, because I see it even within our assemblies, like, the mind shift of wanting to have, a hierarchy and, a CEO in charge. And so it's going to take time for these sheriffs to shift their mindset, because remember, they've been trained a certain way. It's all the indoctrination. This is all they've ever known. And how long have they been serving in that role is going to then also determine how long it'll take for them. It all depends on the person too, right? The man or woman.
I feel like they haven't had relief, Tammy, and we haven't had relief in the assemblies. Like, let's be honest. If we would have had relief already, when you show somebody the money, like, let's just talk about this. You show them the money.
They're living an easier life, and they're not, having to go to a job to pay, to live paycheck to paycheck. It's definitely going to be a different scenario. So now we're going to see who really wants to be there and serve, right? Or who is just there because, some of these sheriffs serve in these positions because it's just a stepping stone to the political power,
Sure.
And so, it'll see, who are the true men and women that have what you just described is the love for the people, wanting to serve, wanting to protect, and, be this, friend in the
men of
neighborhood.
valor. Like, we'll find
Yes,
out
yes.
who have valor and who doesn't. I think that it is going to clean things up.
Oh, for sure.
It'll be real nice and clean. See what nature does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I keep saying to people, you know, you have to start thinking about what it is that you want to do with your life. You know, how do you want to be of service to others? What do you want to give? Because you're going to have just about anything that you're going to ever need. But, you know, how are you going to contribute to the world? What are you going to do? Like, what is your passion? What do you enjoy doing? And so to think about that long and hard, I think that is a different perspective for people. And I look forward to seeing the sheriffs, you know, making that choice, right? Because it is a choice for them. And we're hoping on we have 21 counties here on New Jersey, and I'm hoping that all 21 county sheriffs, you know, come to that calling, and that's, you know, in their heart that's the way that they want to serve and protect, and they'll remain in that position and carry on in that role.
I think one of the things, because on Michigan, we've already sent sheriff's notices out. I think what's going to happen is, like you said, Niti, the money, when they don't have to worry about their job. They don't have to worry about who their paymaster is, because currently their paymaster is the de facto. And once they become land and soil jurisdiction and they get their pay from the people, they don't have to be beholden to all the things that they've been trained to do. They can choose to do the right thing. They can choose to be kind, to teach rather than to, you know, penalize someone. I think it will be different. And I do believe there are a lot of sheriffs out there that have really good hearts, but are trapped in the job the way it is now. So yeah, I do think we're going to see a big difference.
Well, they have a usufructory duty, and they actually have the precedent, lawfully and legally, to honor us and do their job. And they are able to choose their consciousness to be able to do this. I just want to take a couple of these questions real quick, you guys, because I think we can just, there's just two things. Deborah Brady's asking about whether ASNs can wear hats. You can't switch hats, Deborah, to become a citizen. You have to choose to be a citizen, qualify as a citizen, and then you work as a citizen on the assembly. So first, I think it's important for everyone to know, because as this flood of people comes in, okay, our job, number one, first and foremost, is to help everyone. This is a rescue mission. So the rescue mission is get everybody their 528s and get their accounts open and get them their relief, and then let them be. They don't have any obligation to serve on the assembly whatsoever. None. And that anybody requires them to do that it's not lawful. You can't presume anything upon them. So you must just rescue them and then leave them be. Okay. Also, think about it. They're going to need a good year and a day just to wrap all this craziness up around their head and go, wow, look at what's going on. Now, some people might wake up a little bit faster. Some people might not, but they're going to come to you. You don't need to presume upon them. Okay. And then even within the assemblies, now you're going to have way more people who were just ASNs before, because they were working, because they were doing whatever. Now they don't have to be that doctor. Now they don't have to be that nurse. Now they don't have to be that licensed realtor or whatever it is. And because they can unincorporate themselves fully, they can qualify to be a citizen and choose to do that and help, because they can work in our brick and mortar banks for GFG and help with the real estate purchases and all the things that we would be doing lawfully based on land jurisdiction versus not. A lot of people would be able to just walk right out of whatever their former career was that they knew so much about and bring that and do it lawfully and clean and easy and in a loving manner. And I mean, hey, allow them that year and a day to daydream, to see what they want to do, because when everyone has wealth, okay, and you can't manipulate them to have to do something based on money. Now they have to do it out of the goodness of their heart. And you know what? After you leave people alone for a good hot minute, I mean, think about the people that you know that are retired. When they retire, if they have everything and they aren't living on a tight budget and they can do whatever they want and they can have anything they want and they can go anywhere they want, it's not going to be too long before they're starting to get antsy to do something.
May I address her question? One of the things that I think people get confused on in the assembly is everyone's an ASN unless they are in a role that requires them to be an ASC. So you have to meet all the requirements to become an ASC. But when you're in the role acting as someone in the IBA, you are an ASC while you're in the IBA. When you're not doing that, you're an ASN at home, right? So when you're in a role that requires you to be a citizen, you're a citizen. But don't forget that if you're in a role and you're at home, there's more required of you. You are a role model that people are watching. What you choose to do on your free time does make a difference, especially if you have a role that's very visible. So that needs to be taken into consideration too. If you're going to be, let's say, a justice, you're not going to be down at the bar taking shots and drinking and getting drunk and driving home drunk because you didn't kill anybody on the way home. There's no reason for you to. But are you living the truth of your freedom, right? Okay. Anyway, being true to who you are and why you choose to do things is important too. But an ASN will wear an ASC hat if they're in a role that they've chosen to take.
Right. But they don't sacrifice their elected position. Everybody has a vote and can elect. I mean, this is another major confusion. That is the other guys. It's not us.
I'd like to touch on this too, because I think eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take, but the way that I comprehend the International Business Assembly, and I think that that's set up that way, right? Because any of our counties are supposed to go through the state's International Business Assemblies pillar in order to do international business, right? And so I think eventually, like right now, we have volunteers, but eventually when all of our counties are also functioning, I believe that we will have elected delegates from each of our counties that serve in that International Business Assembly representing their county. Right. So I think that's how it'll eventually go. And so if you think about it that way, then yes, because technically, like you said, Debra-Ann, you're living in your private life as an ASN, but when you're serving your position and you're doing all the functions of that position, you're a state citizen.
Well, I will say this: the IBA is an assembly made up of all the citizens. Anyone who is on, first of all, nobody has to serve on the assembly. Let's just start with that. If they are choosing to participate on the assembly and they are a state citizen because they're fully unincorporated, which everybody should be after we are not working our jobs and we're using our banking system properly, then just like the people are the militia, the people are also part of that International Business Assembly. You don't have representatives. Everybody who stands on the land can't not stand on the soil. It is not separated. It is the same. So while there are positions in the IBA, anyone who is a citizen of the state who is on the assembly is a member of the IBA. So there wouldn't be any special anything else, but they might want to participate more actively on one of the committees with the IBA. If they're, depending on how they're serving their counties, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a voice there. They definitely do have a voice there. So everyone is part of the IBA who is choosing to participate in the assembly at all. who is a citizen by, because number one, anyone who is part of the assembly, you're choosing to participate in your government. So you're choosing to participate, and unless that you have something, some conflict of interest, because you are choosing to contract in some way, you would have no reason not to be part of the IBA, part of the militia, part of the General Assembly, like all the assemblies.
But once again, it's a choice. Even in the assembly, you don't have to be part of the IBA or the militia
or
the
anything,
the General Assembly. It's what you choose to participate in. Yes,
100%. Yep. But no one can exclude you.
Right.
That's all. Okay. And then Juan was talking about the sheriff. So the land and soil sheriff definitely is elected by our people, but we have been encouraged to work with the de facto sheriffs who also have the authority and power to operate in our best interest, and by receiving our instruction. And why wouldn't we utilize all these people who are already in these positions, who have not had knowledge of the truth, and who we want to grow and develop to be the best. We're not trying to war with our employees. We want to work with them, and most of them should be Americans. They just don't know it. So there's that. And I'm sure you both have a lot to say about this. I yield.
Well, I think Anna's public notice is basically telling them that we're giving them the authority to operate as a land jurisdiction or a soil jurisdiction sheriff, right?
I think too that what might happen at the county level is we will have a land and soil election of ASNs on the county who will elect a sheriff, and that would be definitely for the county assemblies, and that county who will interface with the territorial sheriff, who has a choice now that he didn't have before, or they didn't have before.
Right.
Yeah, it would behoove us to really pour as much love as we can over all the folks. And that would really eliminate the majority of the chaos that we don't have to experience. And like we say, when you show up with that pot of gold, it doesn't have to be negative. It can easily just be, hey, this is what we've been working on. You guys didn't know about it. This is what happened. You're welcome. We love you. Come this way. Come this way. Come this way. Come learn. Come, and I think it will be such a relief, and especially when they know that the paymaster is the Americans and they see all of this, and we're offering them look, you can choose. If you don't want this, you have your free will choice. And many of them might just take their money and go retire or whatever. But isn't that what we want, guys? We had a long talk about this. I think everyone should talk about this on your assemblies. What do you want? And don't you want for everybody to do the work that they dreamt of doing? Actually, like my husband's dream used to be that he wanted to write standards for the EPA, only to grow up and find out that he can't do that because they won't enforce what he would write to protect our air, to keep it clean. But now he could.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, for me, I guess I can say that, my path in life, I kind of followed my dream and my heart, and I did things that I enjoyed. And probably the biggest gift ever was being a mom and being able to stay home and raise them. And and I will say, after being a business owner and working many, many jobs, from babysitting to newspaper delivery to motivational dancer at bar mitzvahs and whatever, I could say that being a mom was probably the hardest job, but one of the most rewarding. And I wouldn't have changed that time ever that I had with them. And so for me, it's sad to know that there are people that got stuck in jobs that they wouldn't have chosen if it wasn't for the money. You know, they just kind of got pushed into it. And because it was going to support their family and the kind of, you know, lifestyle that they wanted. And I think most of us at this age can say, you know, that idea of what the what they want us to believe is the American dream really didn't turn out to be such an American dream after all. It's more of a burden, an American burden.
Well, it's about to all turn around right now. And like, you know, my husband is, I mean, this was his passion. So he is still working to help everybody as much as he can with that, but he's not able to do it in the way that he wanted. And so then he was kind of stuck because it was a trick, you know, and I feel like a lot of people were tricked like that who are in the medical profession, who, you know, they really wanted to just serve in helping to heal people and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then they've been tricked into thinking that they're doing things that are healing, but they're actually, you know, the mafia and causing all this grief. And I'm really interested in watching all of that unfold, and us, you know, it will be really important, I think, for all of us to say to them, hey, we're not here to hang you and hate you and punish you. And you can't do that to yourself either. We need you to go relax, heal yourself, just absorb this. That's why I'm saying, like, you know, as this is all rolling out, every one of us that's been here for so long, that's had time to process this, we get the relief so that we can keep going a little bit longer as we are, until they're able to catch up mentally, you know, and just heal themselves a little bit, because they haven't even had time to know this. And once they're more caught up, I think it's going to be a big, powerful quantum leap.
Yeah, I think you point out something very important is they're going to feel betrayed, and they're going to be hurt, and they're going to go through a grieving process that takes them through what many of us have already been through, you know, the denial, the anger, finally the acceptance, and that's a different time frame for everybody. Yeah. So patience on our part, and lots of loving. But yeah, I do believe that the way forward is just very bright, but there's some reality that we all need to be aware of, because the chaos is going to be people needing to heal.
Yeah.
And for us to make space for that, and because we are the ones that came before them, and we can hold it just like how Anna has held it for so many people for the 50 years before she brought it to our attention and called us up, right? I mean, not just her, but her and the thousands of people that she was working with before, right?
Yeah, and I would also say that it's probably a good idea for those of us who have been in the movement now for a while to really take the time also to take care of ourselves, because if we're constantly showing up for others and trying to be support system for others, it's going to be draining and taxing on us too. So it's really important that we take the time to take care of ourselves, and, you know, like Anna says, go to that happy place and do the things that are going to nurture and care for our souls, so that we can show up, you know, in the way that these people need us to show up.
Yeah. I really hope that people take this inheritance, the ones that have been here already, you know, and they use it in a way so that they can take their days and readjust them to come and serve more quickly in the beginning, so that we are able to make that space for all these other folks, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I look forward to it. So better days are on the horizon, folks.
It really, you know, the appreciation Anna had on the call, the pause. I mean, we're experiencing that because it's almost too hard to believe that it's happening. Can you just imagine what it would be like for these other people? But this is a huge flood of love. It's a love gate that they opened, that Anna and all of those people opened. And I mean, I feel the waterfall of love coming in. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how can you, say anything negative about a woman who really spent the majority of her life getting this information out? Her and her husband spent, probably more than half their life getting this information. And so, that's a kind of love that, you don't see very often. It's rare. And so we are very grateful and appreciative of her sacrifice that she made for us, and her perseverance through this, and the challenging times and all the obstacles of the nastiness that people have said about her. And, it's interesting when you come across some of that, negative talk and people giving warnings about her. I listen to it. As much as it's upsetting, I listen to it because I need to know exactly what it is they're saying so that I can, appropriately rebut it, And so, you don't see many people like that. What I do see from those same people are selling some kind of a program to tap into a trust and use a bond or like something crazy. And it's like, wait a second, did you not get the memo about what a trust actually is? And that when you claim yourself as a living man or woman, you actually collapse that trust.
The problem is they don't actually believe the truth.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And they operate in fear, and they are fear mongers, and they only operate in the fear, and they only pour the fear. Whereas we're pouring this love. What you call Anna is divine. The intervention of her and James was purely divine. Now we need to take that divine power, that love, and we need to bring it together and bring everyone into solidarity. And we need to really guard and protect these folks as they're coming in. And we really need to see them in their full power as they walk in. And we need, we're going to have a much greater gift to offer. And so we don't want to, because it would be easy for most of us to go back to our people who called us the tinfoil hats, the, whatever crazy conspiracy theorists and blah, 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 and all these things. It'd be real easy for us to go, yeah, I told you so. But we really should follow Anna's example, because she could have also said that to any of us.
I think the beauty of what she's done is she's created relief coming from the top down, how it trickles down. Even in our assemblies, we're still going to have those 4 different types of people. Some of them maybe not paid anymore, but just, they're eating too many potato chips. So there's a lot of anger.
The deranged. Listen, the derangement is really real. Look, these are psychological professional terms. Okay. The mental illness of, the side effects of being poisoned and, going through all of this. We're not here to be blamers and shamers. That's the old. Let's remember, new rules. The new rules are, hey guys, you could get hung for drinking and driving. So, okay, in the beginning, you don't know anything else. You're going to take the money. You're going to go party. You're going to go do all the things because you don't know anything else. And it's okay, but you better invest in an Uber and a taxi and a driver or whatever. And don't go mess up and get in a position where you're going to be hung. Okay, just know it. And then, all of these things, they've done experiments on this already. And, I don't know, I was a psych major. I know the studies. they're going to do this. I bet you, I can just see like a year and a day of, whatever, going crazy. Oh, big party on earth. Okay. But then they're going to be like, wait a minute, but I really want some shoes and I just really need some new clothes, or I need a house, or I need something. And they're going to need to have to not want the nasty, dirty toilet. And they're going to have to just go clean it. Oh, crap. I can't pay anybody because everybody's got all the money. This is where you're going to have that problem where you could just throw all the gold and silver out into the street. It won't matter. Now everyone's going to have to love each other and take care of each other out of the goodness of their heart. And there's no reason that it's not going to be working just fine. We already know. So because we already know, we have to, we got to be better than those guys who are just going to be waking up, and be ready for it. And I think we're all going to do it. Everybody's going to rise to the occasion to be in service in this way.
Oh yeah. I see it. I mean, for sure. I see that. Yeah.
So I know we're still going to have subcontractors.
Yes.
And we're going to love them and give them their marching orders so that they know exactly what they need to do and not do. And so we're still going to have different populations.
Yes.
So, that's not going away. And I think the beauty of what she's accomplished as of the 17th, which was yesterday, is the world isn't going to fall apart like it was going to. And we're not going to go through the suffering that was predicted and that people wanted to happen, some people. And that to me is just such a divine blessing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think that the transition, if there is a little discomfort, I think it'll be short-lived. But I do think the brilliance of balancing the books and showing people that every time they spent a Federal Reserve note, it was increasing our credit, right? But we didn't get to see the credit side of the ledger, right? All you keep seeing was the debt side. Like I've been trying to explain this to people, and I think that they're still having a hard time wrapping their head around it. And I'm like, and look, every time we take a Federal Reserve note out of the circuit, you're going to input a Federation dollar, right? And so this seamless, way of doing, our financial system is really going to be seamless. So it's going to be beautiful to see that transition and to see people dealing again in lawful money and seeing the wealth of all that credit that we accrued over time be able for us to now reap that benefit of all. I mean, we've got generations of people that have accrued that credit for us in addition to what we have already. So, the future generations are, going to be really well taken care of. So
I'm just excited to see the amazing talent that we will be able to finally witness, because as creator, we all have a superpower that we're all just waiting to discover within our own selves. And it is going to be so much fun to finally see what it is that we can create. Because I'll tell you what, it's not going to be these boring log houses that Abraham Lincoln was born into. It's going to be amazing. And it's not going to be like any of this corporate crap that they've been making us believe is our highest and best, whatever. This is nonsense. Wait till you unleash the actual power of the living man. I am just so excited. And ladies, we've been doing this for over an hour. And you know, we always do this because we have so much fun together. That's what is going on. So I want to honor everybody's time. I know we all have 101 things to do.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm still trying to figure this whole post office thing out because y'all trying to send notices out when the post office is not motivated to do their job because they are like,
It's too much.
this is too much. Why are you in here with 100 notices? And you're so lucky you have 23 counties. I mean,
21.
we have, okay, sorry, 21.
Yeah, less than that.
Less than that. We have 800.
800?
100.
Oh, 100. Okay. I thought you said 800. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't even think Texas has that many counties.
No, but we have 4 times what you have. And it's like,
that's a lot.
Blah, you know, it's like, okay. Yeah. So anyway, you guys, I just think that I'm going to call this the God is Great episode. What do you think?
Yep.
Yeah.
God is great.
Yep. Our Creator is amazing. Miracles. Yes. Everything's a miracle.
Everything's a miracle. And we are witnessing miracles in every moment all day long. And now we finally are going to be able to really bring everyone's attention to that and bring it down for them to really be able to focus on it. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see what people do.
Yep. Creativity, you know, when you don't have that stress, you know, the brain can function and that creativity will start coming out. And
you discover what your gifts are and what you wish to give to the planet. And if everybody knew that and everybody functioned in that, oh my gosh, just the happiness and the joy and the love is going to be amazing.
Have you ladies on just to end the conversation, have you ladies read the book, The Precious Present?
Oh,
I forgot who wrote it, but I read it in college. I'm trying to remember but anyway, it's really beautiful book. Short, very easy. And, but there's a lot of, you know, different ironies and, you know, different things of that nature that makes you think, right, about the precious present. And you can view that in 2 different ways. And I'll leave you guys on that.
Thank you, Tammy.
Yeah.
You're muted, Niti.
Sorry, I just put a link for the Amazon version of the book. Just if anybody wants to just grab the title from there, by Spencer Johnson, I guess.
What is author. It? For The Precious Present?
Mm-hmm. The author of Who Moved My Cheese, Spencer Johnson. Is that the right one?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. That way everybody can use that, and that might be some. I mean, we received a precious present yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Listening to Anna and watching her, everybody should watch it again.
Absolutely.
Watch it again. We should watch it again every day until, you know, it really just sinks in.
Yeah. And we hold it in our mind's eye and manifest it.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
Bye, y'all.